Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Here today to discuss about WWE Raw, January 25th, 2021. This is our review here today to discuss what happened on this dreadful show. Outside of the last two segments of the show, this show was terrible. It wasn't fun. It was boring, to say the least. There was nothing that happened on this show at all. There are two things that was good on this show, and I will mention them right here and right now. Edge's segment where he discusses about him announcing himself to be going into the Royal Rumble matchup this Sunday. I'm extremely excited. Now, you guys may say, well, he's a part-timer. He ain't a full-time wrestler. What the hell you care about him being in the Royal Rumble? He's just going to take a spot over from a full-time worker. Well, let's get real. Would you rather see Edge face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship or Goldberg? This matchup Goldberg and Drew McIntyre are going to have at the Royal Rumble is not going to be a very long match. It's going to be very short. If anything, I would make it the first match on the fucking card. Get it out of the way. Get it done with. Or just before the Royal Rumble itself. One of the two. But I would not put this in the main event. This is not noteworthy to be in the main event at all. The Royal Rumble should be the main event. The men's Royal Rumble, that is. I think the women should start it out. Kickstart the Royal Rumble. Because I don't think the women's Royal Rumble is going to be all that exciting at all. And I think Edge should win the Royal Rumble match. Here's why. The promo he delivered was picture perfect. This man is on his last pitiful rope. That window of opportunity to hold the WWE Championship one more time in his career is getting less and less. What better way to have Drew McIntyre beat Goldberg in a defiant win? Not Goldberg shredding through him with a spear and a jackhammer and all that bullshit. I don't even think Goldberg should get 1 ounce of offense in this match. I think Goldberg should eat the Claymore kick and be done. That's it. That's the match. That should be the end of Goldberg. And we should see Edge and Drew McIntyre in a real legit 20-minute to 25-minute action-packed main event WrestleMania match for either night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania. That's what we need to see. We need to see Drew McIntyre versus Edge for the WWE Championship. This story has so much to tell with very little creative mindset to do it. It's a very simplistic story that people will enjoy and appreciate. Even though Edge is a part-time wrestler, he will be able to tell a story that is meaningful. It is about a man who is trying to get back into the world title picture and trying to win the WWE Championship. Along the way, you could have Edge and Randy Orton compete one-on-one leading into WrestleMania. You could even do that. Have these two as the last two remaining guys of the Royal Rumble. Have Edge eliminate Randy Orton. Then have Edge and Randy Orton compete in a matchup. You could do Hell in a Cell. You could do whatever you want to do with that match. But Edge would retain his spot as the #1 contender for the world title. You could then at that point have Drew McIntyre and Edge tell a great story, which they will definitely do. There's no doubt about it. This story is great about Edge trying to become the world heavyweight champion one more time. Drew McIntyre maintaining his main event status, proving he is one of the greats. And by beating the greats, he's becoming the greatest, making him better than Roman Reigns even, which then could eventually lead to a unification match between Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns later on this year. They could even do that. And I would definitely do that. I would say that unification match for him, Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That's what I would do. And then eventually building a star big enough to actually compete for the championship to whoever they choose, whether it's Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre, whoever it may be. They ought to go ahead and find that person that would be suitable enough to take the title off of them who's never been champion before. And that's what I would go with. That's my attitude on this. I mean, Drew McIntyre trying to hold his and maintain his reign as world champion against the greats, I think is a great story. He's beaten Randy Orton multiple times. He beats Goldberg at Royal Rumble. That would even be better. And then him beating Edge in a classy stand-up sportsmanship matchup will make that title mean something, number one. Number two, it will outshine anything that Roman Reigns and whoever they decide to do for WrestleMania, which I have no idea what that is. I did not watch SmackDown over this weekend or Friday night, so I don't know what the fuck happened there. Probably didn't miss much of anything. I did see Kevin Owens beating the shit out of Roman Reigns in the last segment of the show, so that's probably what I would have witnessed if I watched it, but whatever. Point being is, Drew McIntyre, Edge, WrestleMania as one of the main events of night 1 or night 2 would be perfect. And that's what I would like to see. Personally, anything else besides that, ain't going to cut it. Daniel Bryan right now, where he's at, ain't going to tell a good story with Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan's fooling around with fucking Otis and Chad Gable. That's bullshit. Bottom line is, there's nobody in or on SmackDown that is worthy enough to win the Royal Rumble right now. Edge is the guy. That is the person you need to go with. This is the same exact story with a bit more of extra to it, with Edge having an injury, coming back, getting revenge, winning the Royal Rumble, and going on to the WrestleMania pay-per-view to win the WWE Championship would be a bigger story to tell. This would be like Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels type of thing, only with a young star versus an old star type of situation. I mean, JD from New York 206 has mentioned he would have been fine with Drew McIntyre versus John Cena. Well, I kind of see Edge being in the same limelight as John Cena, and Edge is not a guy that has any anything holding him back when it comes to a side job that he might be doing for a living besides wrestling. So this would be a great situation for them to take advantage of. If Edge is fully healthy for this, I would put him in the main event of WrestleMania, either night 1 or night 2. Bottom line, but I'm not going to repeat myself, which I've done quite a few times since I started this video. The rest of the card, nothing on the show meant anything to me. It was garbage. I'll just get right into it. The Goldberg-Drew McIntyre confrontation, face-off, whatever you want to call it, was nothing. Drew McIntyre talked about how he's going ahead and contributing this matchup he's having with Goldberg to anyone that is fighting for their life with COVID-19. He really appreciates all the fans that wished him well, and he wants to, show that with this win over Goldberg, it's like him defeating COVID-19, and that we're all as a whole in the world, we're going to overcome this COVID-19 situation as well. I thought that was a very nice touch to start off the show. Miz and Morrison came out. They looked like a couple of goons, talking like idiots. Nothing serious coming out of these guys. It means nothing to me. Really nothing. These guys shouldn't even be carrying the fucking briefcase. I think it should be Sheamus. Bottom line, that's another story they could tell with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre if they really wanted to. So you never know what the case may be with that. I highly doubt that Miz is going to win the WWE Championship. I don't think there's anything to tell right now with Miz. He has no momentum going for him. They haven't given him any outside of winning a fucking briefcase, which makes that briefcase mean nothing. So yeah, they were acting like a couple idiots. And eventually Goldberg came out, said one sentence, one fucking sentence. He didn't say anything else. He said, "You, me, Royal Rumble, WWE Championship on the line, you're next." That's it. That was the big speech. That was a big hype up for everyone to tune in for Monday Night Raw. There was no long drawn out speech. There was no long, meaningful thing to make you hang on every word that Goldberg had to say. Nothing. Now, some people would say, well, Goldberg doesn't need to talk. He does all of his talking in the middle of the ring when he wrestles. That's fine and all, but the thing is, this is one of the biggest matches Goldberg has ever had, being that it's for the WWE Championship, a championship he has never won. And he's going to be competing for it. You'd think he'd have some words to say, and he said nothing. And then we just see Goldberg and Drew McIntyre doing a Claymore kick to John Morrison while Goldberg's hitting a spear on The Miz, and Drew McIntyre raising the WWE Championship in front of Goldberg's face. And they have a stare down, and that's it. That's all we got. Big deal. Who fucking cares? Alright. Next we had Charlotte Flair backstage with Charlie Caruso. Now, not one fucking word that Charlotte Flair said meant anything to me. But there was one thing that happened in this segment that I absolutely found extremely funny. And I don't know why they keep making these botches. Unless they're like myself, they get nervous when they're talking on the mic and they fuck up. And if that's the case, by all means, I totally understand. I'm nervous every time I come behind the microphone here to discuss these episodes. Guess I'm nervous or what have you when I talk in front of, knowing full well there's other people gonna watch these videos and so forth. So if I sound like I'm nervous, I do apologize. It is what it is. But you know the deal. Whatever. Anyway, so she goes ahead and asks her what she thinks of the match with Shayna Baszler, who is the Queen of Bait. And it's supposed to be spades, and she called her the Queen of Bait. Yeah. Okay. That's great, Charlie. Good job there. Queen of Bait. Way to fuck up her slogan name. Good job. But anyway, nothing important was said by Charlotte Flair. Didn't even pay attention to half of it. Charlotte Flair had a match with Shayna Baszler. Nothing important here. This ended up being a DQ. Charlotte Flair winning. Thanks to Nia Jax interfering in the match. Then we had Charlotte Flair, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke tag teaming against Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. This match ended with Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke actually winning the matchup. I skipped through this. It was a countout by the three ladies that were on the other team. So big deal. All right, cool. So we actually come back from a break, and they have the match restarted, and then Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Lacey Evans wins. Okay, well, I didn't really pay attention to much of this. I was skipping through it while it was DVR'd, so didn't really care to watch this shit. So, whatever. Anyway, nothing big there. Don't really give a shit. After the match ended, Jax stands tall over Brooke as her music hits. Baszler joins her, and they have their arms raised as they go to replays. Brooke and Rose try to recover at ringside as Jax and Baszler celebrate in the ring. We see how Mace defeated Xavier Woods. We're leading into the matchup between Slapjack. Slapnuts is more the proper name for him, Slapnuts, versus Xavier Woods, and Xavier Woods wins the match, but afterwards he gets his ass kicked. Mustafa Ali looked like he was about to hit him with a steel chair right over the head, but stops, folds the chair up and sits down on it, or unfolds the chair, sits down on it, and tells Xavier Woods that I'm taking over Kofi Kingston's spot. Send the message to him. I'm the king of the ring, and I'm going to the Royal Rumble myself and going to win the Royal Rumble. Now, my thoughts on this is real simple. If they could just have Mustafa Ali get 3 or 4 eliminations in this match, I would be really cool with that. I think Mustafa Ali kind of deserves this. It would make their Retribution faction a little bit more important, you know, if one of the members are actually going over and getting some eliminations. Now, I'm not talking about 6, 7, or 8 eliminations in the match and being an Iron Man for the Royal Rumble, but just somebody who can actually produce and seem like they got a shot at winning the Royal Rumble. If 3 or 4 eliminations against some decent names would be beneficial to him, and his brand name, I would say, that would be going a long way for him and definitely building a star, I think, in my mind. I wonder what you guys think of that. If you'd like, you can comment down below about that and let me know. But I think Mustafa Ali going ahead and doing what I just said and going off and winning, not winning, but eliminating at least 3 or 4 guys that are decent names, I think that would go a long way for him in building his character. So, there you go on that. Alright, so Riddle is walking backstage when he stops at WWE 24/7 champion R-Truth. They make a bunch of bullshit back and forth talking about the Hurt Business has got the MVP lounge, or VIP lounge, not MVP, VIP lounge, and they're going to give a gold necklace with the Hurt Business logo on it, only it's with THB, and R-Truth thinks it's Truth Happy Birthday pendant that they have attached to the chain. It's made out of 24 karat gold, and they're thinking literally carats. And you guys, please distinguish why the characters on this show are a waste. Why they aren't looked at like the Edges and the Goldbergs and the other big names that appear, you know, once in a blue moon on this show that were great at one point in their career because they were younger and now they're older, they can't do it anymore. These guys aren't given an opportunity to have legit segments, conversations. They sound like fucking dummies. They're idiots. How the fuck can anyone really take them seriously? That is the problem with this product and why they are not getting over. Matt Riddle is one of the best technician wrestlers in the business today. He has MMA background. Shayna Baszler, same thing. Yet these people are placed in situations that are idiotic. They lose matches that they shouldn't. And you know, it's retarded. And it makes the characters look dumb. And no matter what you think of them, you know, knowing their background, what they can do, and then you see what they're doing on TV, it just makes you go, why bother caring? Why bother watching this shit? They're not larger than life characters because they're not given the chance to be larger than life characters. These guys are given horrible segments sounding like fucking dumbasses on purpose. This isn't being done by accident. This couldn't be. You'd have to be out of your fucking mind to think this is accidental when this is happening on a regular basis. Give me a fucking break, man. So, the next thing was the VIP lounge. MVP and the Hurt Business talk about how their year in 2020 is gone, how they've collectively have won championships, and Bobby Lashley presents him with the Hurt Business pendant and chain, and Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin start having some disagreement with each other because Cedric Alexander actually cuts off Shelton Benjamin in the middle of a conversation while he's explaining something to MVP. This led to them having a little bit of confrontation back and forth, and MVP's starting to notice, I think, based on how they're portraying this, is that MVP's starting to notice there's something wrong with Cedric Alexander. He's getting too much of a big head, I guess. I don't know if this is leading to Cedric Alexander going to get eliminated from the Hurt Business, or the Hurt Business is just going to disband altogether, which I hope is not the case, because the Hurt Business is a decent faction, and factions are needed in professional wrestling. They are. It is helpful. It builds names. It makes certain characters, depending on how well you do it. If you don't do it well, it fucks it all up, and it means nothing in the end. But there's a lot of factions that have gotten over and built names off of factions. So this is definitely a faction that you want to do right. Cedric Alexander and Bobby Lashley can definitely benefit from this kind of faction. Shelton Benjamin is kind of over the hill, and MVP, of course, is over the hill too, since he's been around for a very long time. This was actually accidental. It wasn't even planned. Anyway, R-Truth got in the middle of the ring. He started talking bullshit, making absolutely no sense. And MVP was attacked later on by Matt Riddle in this segment, thanks to a sneak behind knee to the head to MVP. R-Truth was going to get attacked by the Hurt Business, but then a group of fucking idiots try to take his championship. He manages to run away and retain his championship regardless. Like, that doesn't even make a fucking big deal to me. Doesn't mean shit to me. Alright, so the next thing on this card was Sheamus versus John Morrison. I didn't even pay attention. John Morrison lost this match to Sheamus. Then we get a rematch between Sheamus and John Morrison, but Miz also added to it, making it a handicap match. And this time, Miz hits the skull-crushing finale and pins Sheamus 1, 2, 3. What a fucking joke that was. Do not get it. We see Lacey Evans backstage with Ric Flair. He's teaching her a couple of moves, and Charlotte Flair comes in and sees this and is not happy. She approaches and quietly orders Evans to get out. Flair isn't happy with his daughter and mentioning how he will always be himself. Charlotte disagrees and knocks Rick for some of his bad ways as a father, like spending his money on everyone but his family. Flair mentions how she's the only one here to protect Rick, as he's now going to go from legend to old man, and she has no problem saying it to his face. They stare at each other, and Charlotte says a few words to her dad, and as she backs away, noting that she is not the bad guy here, which she is, because she doesn't care about putting over other members on the roster. And this was cute when she was a kid, but no more. Evans appears behind Flair and levels her with a stiff women's right as she turns around. Ric Flair looks like he's about to check on Charlotte, but Evans pulls him away, and they head off as we hear Ric Flair telling Evans how to woo in the hallway. Charlotte starts to recover as we go to commercial break, and that's that. AJ Styles and R-Truth. AJ Styles wins this match with a calf killer and makes him tap out. Nothing big there. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. Nothing on this show was meaningful. I swear to you folks, this was the biggest wasted out load of shit I have ever seen in my life. We have a gauntlet match for the United States title shot for Riddle later on in the future in a gauntlet match against the Hurt Business. Riddle beats all 3 members of the Hurt Business. After Riddle has lost to the Hurt Business multiple times, Bobby Lashley has retained his championship. We are now getting this match again, and not for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, mind you. It's going to be a future match. Now, wouldn't it have been better if we just had Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, be built up, going with a few weeks left over into the Royal Rumble, and make that like the opener match to the pay-per-view? I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And we could have had one and one only match. And Matt Riddle would either lost or won the U.S. Championship. And that's how I would have done it. Instead, they had him lose, win, back and forth, 50-50 booking, just for the sake of keeping him around in this fucking pathetic storyline. And what are they going to do? Are they going to fuck up Bobby Lashley here and make him lose? That would be really crappy to do to Bobby at this point. If you had him retain the title against Riddle, what's the fucking point in him losing the title in a second matchup? He has lost at least twice to fucking Matt Riddle. Or, no, Matt Riddle losing to Bobby Lashley. I don't get this. Really, I don't. And the whole thing was retarded. Cedric Alexander was also a help to Matt Riddle in a way, because he kept fucking up and making mistakes in the middle of the match. So that's pretty much that. Edge did his discussion, very heartfelt promo, very well done, no doubt about it. One of the best promos on the show today. This episode, he produced the best promo out of everybody. He was the show. There was nothing else on this card. And the Raw Women's title match with Alexa Bliss and Asuka. This matchup was pretty okay. It was like a cinematic match in the middle of a ring in the Thunderdome. But it was very interesting how they've done these cutscenes with her. It's amazing, actually. I find it very interesting. I find the character to be interesting. And they ended the show the right way. Randy Orton, RKO, over and done with, and the show goes off the air. Now, it went off the air abruptly. I didn't like that. I kind of wish we would have gotten a little bit of something afterwards, but we didn't. It just went right off the air immediately after the RKO. I'm okay with that because of the fact he got some revenge. He wasn't wearing the mask either, which I'm thankful for as well. I'm glad this was just a one-time only thing, because last week was just downright horrendous to look at. And that was the show. We got to see Alexa Bliss in the middle of the match change to two other characters besides her normal self. She changed into her old Alexa Bliss. She changed into the evil Bliss, who wore all black and black lipstick. And it was pretty damn good. I actually enjoyed the ending of that match. And Randy Orton hitting an RKO was icing on the fucking cake, dude. I loved it. A man knocking the shit out of a woman on national television? You don't fucking see that shit anymore. This was like attitude type of shit. Attitude era type stuff that you don't see anymore in wrestling. And we got to see it here tonight. And I thought that was pretty cool. But Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, I'm not too crazy about. So I don't know how they're going to make this match any more interesting than they have at this point. This match, these two have played their story out way too long. I just don't really care. I find the story between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss to be more interesting than Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. So that's how I feel about that. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed to the channel already. And again, like I said, leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you have a great night, guys. Bye.